Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the weather warnings as we have got multiple yellow rain warnings once again for eastern Scotland and for southern England over the course of the next few days, with the southern England warning coming into force through the weekend, as we are going to continue to be very unsettled with lots of areas of heavy rainfall already falling onto saturated ground, again giving the risk of severe impacts in places. We'll have a look at that in detail on the latest UKV, which runs out through the next 5 days, and you'll be able to see that temperatures are fairly static in around the average for the time of year, maybe cooling off a little bit into next week, and rainfall is going to be quite widespread and quite plentiful. Nowhere near as severe as Storm Babet a couple of weeks ago, but nevertheless similar sort of pattern where we're going to see lots of areas of rainfall persisting and spiraling around, as you can see on the live radar at the moment. Unfortunately though, things are looking worse as we head into next week and into the start of November. We have highlighted the possibility of the jet stream dropping slightly further southwards, with a little bit of blocking up towards Iceland and Greenland, and the risk that we start to see trapped areas of low pressure, and that is what we are continuing to see today. And some of the more longer range charts are developing some seriously deep areas of low pressure, deep low pressures that would probably become named storms, looking at their isobars and their central pressure. Really doesn't look particularly great in the longer term, and there is pretty good cross-model consensus. Things can still change, but at the moment the latest runs are looking like we're going to go into another very stormy period next week, potentially with some more named storms incoming. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see there are multiple areas of heavy rainfall spiraling around at the moment. Luckily, there's a very heavy area of rainfall across much of France, pretty much all of France, apart from some areas in the southeast and northeast, have got heavy rain or these showers around. Luckily, this rainfall is going to miss us. We're only going to be impacted by this stuff further northwards. This area of rain across northeast of England into eastern Scotland is going to continue to move in off an easterly flow over the coming hours, and eastern Scotland is likely to rain all night to maybe ceasing around tomorrow lunchtime. We've got a yellow warning issued at the moment for this, but the impacts for that and the likelihood have been increased to the extent where an amber warning is possible to be issued at short notice through tomorrow, maybe even later tonight. So if you are in this area, do check those warnings and check the social media of the Met Office, as they could update at very short notice. More heavy showers around Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland and Wales, but no warnings issued here, so we're not expecting any prolonged rainfall, but still could be localised impacts from the intensity of these showers. Further eastwards, not got much going on at the moment. It's been another actually pretty decent day. Temperatures, as said, around average. The far south seeing a few showers as well, but we are going to see more low pressure systems, potentially some centre of lows through maybe Saturday, Sunday, developing further south as that jet stream drops more towards the channel, and we could see some more persistent rain in the south. And we have got yellow warnings already issued for the weekend, and they are likely to be updated in the next few days. Now, I'm recording this in the evening, and if we have a look at the temperatures, you can see generally loads of lighter yellows and blues, and that's been pretty much the bog standard we've had over the past few days, as those temperatures have been fairly static. With this westerly flow, we've pretty much had a very similar air mass over the top of us, oscillating slightly, but really hovering around the average mark. And that's allowed those temperatures to stay in the low teens or high single digits. If you look at the past 24-hour precipitation, again, just estimates or what sort of rainfall's fallen in the past 24 hours, you see most areas have seen some rainfall, the heaviest stuff in those darker green areas, but nothing too crazy. But this is a quieter period, the last 24 hours, and you still see we've seen widespread rainfall. But as I said, it's only going to get worse. Darker greens are going to be more widespread over the next few days and could be very widespread into next week. Now, if you look at the weather warnings, you can see through Thursday and Friday, we've got this yellow warning issued for eastern Scotland, and it does actually go all the way to Sunday, as we are going to continue to see rainfall there, but the most heavy stuff will probably be through tonight into tomorrow, and then recurring through the weekend. So you see here, the warning has been extended as far west as the edge of Stirling, and the likelihood of impacts has been increased. Further rain is expected across eastern Scotland between late Thursday and early Sunday. We're seeing it form at the moment and move in. The rain will be heavy in places, although possibly easing off across the north of the warning area for a time on Friday or Saturday, so perhaps a bit of a lull through Friday to Saturday. Accumulations widely 30 to 50 millimetres, maybe 50 to 100 millimetres over higher ground, 120 to 160 millimetres in a few locations. You can see it's high impact and increasing in likelihood, so there is the possibility, as I said, for this to be upgraded to an amber warning. You can see rain here for the whole of the next sort of 3 or 4 days, but a lot of the time there is going to be rainfall around. And again, mainly issued because we've got extremely saturated ground, swelled up rivers already from all the rain we've seen in the past couple of weeks. It's going to be fascinating to see the total rainfall amounts for October as a whole. Because some of these areas, especially eastern Scotland and some areas of probably southern England as well, where we've seen some of the bullseyes of some of these rain events, have probably seen hundreds of millimetres, and it'll be very interesting to see the stats at the end of the month. Into the weekends, you can see that warning in eastern Scotland maintains, and then we've got this warning issued for southern and southeastern areas. Again, most likely to be changed as we get nearer to the event, but it's from midnight on Friday night, early Saturday, until 6 a.m. on Sunday, so a 30-hour warning. 15 to 30 millimetres widely, 50 to 70 millimetres in a few spots, and stronger winds, 45 to 55 miles per hour, are probable across parts of the English Channel coast, and that's because this is associated with a centre of a low pressure system. High impact, low likelihood at this stage, but could increase, and we'll have to keep a very close eye on it. Now, if you look at the UKV, which will give a good indication of what's going to be happening over the next 5 days, you can see all the rainfall moving through earlier today. We did see some heavy rain this morning for much of England and Wales, but it did clear very quickly through the morning. But that same rainfall sort of skirted up the northeast coast, and now is into Scotland. It's going to persist there through much of the evening. Showers elsewhere, but nothing too crazy, and they should ease off more towards coastal areas overnight. Into tomorrow, we're going to see more showers for southern areas, and that rainfall across eastern Scotland will subside, but still will be there, just more patchy and lighter in intensity. Plenty of showers around tomorrow afternoon, but with particular weather systems, so nothing too severe. But as we head into the weekend, you see shower activity increases Friday night into Saturday, with some longer spells of rain within the showers and some heavier pulses. And as we head into Saturday afternoon, we see a centre of a low pressure system arrive, essentially increasing the winds, increasing the shower activity, increasing the widespread and intensity of the rainfall. And this is why we're seeing that yellow warning issued for southeast England. Look at that rainfall moving in. Could see this warning shifted further westwards. Again, we have seen some very short notice changes in these warnings, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it extended or shifted through the weekend. But through Saturday into Sunday, that heavy rain continues to move in, stalls a little bit through southern England there, the sort of back edge of the weather front through Sunday before eventually slowly clearing, and then we see more heavy rainfall there moving in through Sunday night, so could actually see that warning extended for this area of rainfall, and then just seeing more showers and heavier spells of rain move in for Monday. Interestingly, you see a lot of the rainfall is further southwards, and that is because the jet stream is shifting slightly further southwards. If we have a look at the mean sea level pressure, you can see the centre of these lows are skirting through southern parts instead of further northwards, a few hundred miles in change of the jet stream in terms of its northwards or southwards positioning. But essentially, it means that Scotland will actually go slightly drier for a few days, but you can see Scotland will be on the cold side of the jet stream. So essentially, look at those upper air temperatures, down towards a couple of degrees below freezing. Again, giving the possibility of wintry showers over moderate hills perhaps, frosts, and generally much colder conditions. So Scotland turning slightly drier for a few days, but getting the colder air. Southern England still staying in the milder air, or the average sort of air, but turning quite wet and unsettled. But unfortunately, the longer-term projections are looking likely that colder air will mix in further, will actually go more below average in the south as well. So all areas turning colder. Now, if you look at the max temperature, you can see this afternoon again, mid to low teens quite widely, and then as we head into Friday, again, mid to low teens, maybe more towards the low teens or high single digits as we see more rainfall around. Into the weekend, Saturday again could see mid to low teens. Again, pretty stationary temperatures, so air masses aren't shifting too much. But as we into Sunday, things start to change a bit. The north, more towards the mid-single digits or even low single digits. The south, more struggling around the 10 or 11 degree mark. And that is similar into Monday. Many areas struggling around sort of high single digits, maybe 10 or 11 degrees in Scotland. Most areas in the single digits. That colder air slowly shifts southwards. As I said, not impacting the south too much, but perhaps taking a couple of degrees off those temperatures as we head into early next week. But this is sort of the starter of the very unsettled weather coming up. The main course could be coming maybe Wednesday to Sunday next week as we head into early November, where things look potentially really quite severe from the looks of these models. Luckily, it is 7 to 14 days away. We're still at least a week away from it starting, and some of these low pressure systems not going to arrive for at least 10 days. So a lot of time between then and now for it to change, but the current models are really not looking good. Now you can see the low pressures coming in off the Atlantic at the moment, fairly weak, but as we enter the weekend we see them intensify a little bit and trend further southwards, giving colder air for Scotland, but more unsettled conditions further southwards. As we head towards Monday, Tuesday next week, things lull a little bit as the pressure does rise slightly, but we're still generally under lower pressure, around 1,000 millibars or lower. But look what happens as we head into the early days of November. Low pressure systems intensify. Look at these. We've got two low pressure systems here. One across Scotland that looks relatively intense, and one that's rapidly deepening through southern England. It's a bit of a channel low, giving very intense winds and very heavy rainfall. As we head beyond that, low pressure just continues to spiral around. Look at those darker blues as the pressure is lowering, and more spiraling of these low pressure systems. So you can see there could be some very strong winds at times, but from the looks of it, will be another major rainfall event because the pressure is very low, and we'll continue to see low pressure systems spiral around and cold air filtering into this as well. Temperature deviation does it more justice. Look at all this cold air flooding out of the Arctic into the backside of this low pressure system, keeping us cold and exceptionally unsettled. Another best way to view this is look at the accumulated precipitation. Look at all that rainfall for northern and western Europe, France, northern Spain, northern Portugal, perhaps into Netherlands, Belgium and Germany, and then the British Isles getting absolutely battered by these low pressure systems. If we do zoom into the United Kingdom, most areas seeing around 100 millimetres or above. Areas missing out, Midlands and northeast England, but very much elsewhere, southern England, Wales, northwest England, whole of Scotland, much of Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, seeing 100 millimetres or more in the next couple of weeks. And again, you can see the numbers are so jumbled up because of the amount of rainfall falling that they're sort of overlapping. So it's very difficult to actually read what it is showing, but you can see the darker colours indicating or the darker sort of purples, pinks here, indicating where the most intense rainfall is. Interesting seeing that little gap across Midlands and Northern England, still seeing 30 to 50 millimetres. That's still a lot of rainfall, just nowhere near as much as elsewhere. Again, that just most likely will be because of the track of the low pressure. So not everywhere is going to see intense rainfall, but it will be fairly widespread. If you compare to the GM, which is looking very intense as well towards day 10, low pressure's milling around over the next few days, pretty unsettled, but nothing crazy. Then into next week, look at those lows spinning up by next Wednesday, and look, that low pressure system's further northwards, so not quite as further southwards, so the block isn't quite as strong, but this would give extremely windy conditions, very heavy rainfall, and then another low arriving from the west, not directly parked over the top of us, which may reduce the widespread nature of the rainfall, but coming in off a very strong westerly flow would probably allow there to be more heavy showers around, so sort of negating longer spells of rainfall, heavier showers, and stronger winds. So we're not directly under the centre of the low, we're under all of its sort of southern and eastern flanks. Temperatures are slightly higher as well, with more of a westerly tilt to a northerly tilt, but I'm really clutching at straws here for positive changes between the GFS and the GM. Broadly, very similar, with very deep areas of low pressure parked over the top of us, and this sort of scenario is more likely to be named for the wind impacts. The GFS was more likely to be named for the rainfall impacts, but regardless, still the same outcome, the risk of some intense storm systems as we head into next week and the start of November. If we compare to the ECMWF, this is only just coming out, so I haven't even actually had a look at this out to day 10 yet. So you're going to be seeing this at the same time I'm going to be seeing this. Again, you see the westerly winds coming at the moment. Low pressure continues coming off the Atlantic. Very deep areas of low pressure. Look at that. If we actually zoom in, you can see down to 958 millibars. That would be pretty ridiculous. Look at the wind gusts. The wind gusts haven't loaded, unfortunately. I guess the problem with having a model that's just come out. But look at that. Intense area of low pressure. Absolutely smashing Wales. Most likely the Midlands with that as well. And as we head into the longer range, another intense low. Look at that. That is pretty ridiculous. And again, if we zoom in, the pressure of that is down to 954 millibars. So 2 back-to-back intense area of low pressure. And again, those two systems could both be named in their own right. And if we have a look at the accumulated precipitation, unfortunately, again, hasn't fully loaded yet. But I'd be fascinated to see what that's showing at day 10, as that could be showing huge amounts of rainfall in northern and western areas on those leading edge of these storm systems. We'll be seeing some massive accumulations of rainfall. So it is looking really quite horrible as we head into early November, and it's just emphasised for the latest ensembles. Look next week into early November. Look at the rainfall spikes already clustering around when low pressure systems could arrive, and you can see generally into early November the temperatures, as I said, are dropping below average with huge amounts of rainfall. The 2 metre temperatures are slowly dropping as well, down to low teens or high single digits in London, and that will be reflected by a few degrees colder further northwards. And look at the sea level pressure already coinciding when centre the lows move in. You can see generally over the next sort of 10 days we're around 1,000 millibars or lower, which is pretty deep low pressure systems just for sort of our stationary pressure. But you can see a dip here on Sunday, that's when the centre of the low arrives, and other dips appearing here through next Thursday, through to next Saturday, Sunday. And that's where I said there could be those sort of consecutive days of storm systems moving in, centre of low pressure systems moving in, and we can see those dips, as I said, with some of those going down to 950 millibars. You may be wondering why the GFS isn't going as low as we saw it on its chart, and that's because the centre of the low, where it gets down to sort of 940, 950, is really quite a localised area. It's more to show the sort of the intensity of the system. The ones here going only 970 or 980 probably have a centre of the low down to 950 or 960, but it's just positioned slightly further northwards or slightly further southwards, as this is, as I said, a specific location. If we compare to the ECMWF ensembles, we'll have to look at the midnight run, unfortunately, as the midday run won't have come out yet, but very similar, massive rainfall spikes and those temperatures slowly descending. Again, it's inevitable as we're heading into winter, but regardless, it's looking colder and even more unsettled. And again, the sea level pressure, you could see perhaps a few more spikes. There's a little evened out because we've got more ECMWF ensemble, so it does sort of take out those rough edges a little bit, but definitely some distinctive drops on Sunday, 970, 980 millibars, and as we head into next Thursday through to next Sunday, lots of clustering around already the 960, 970 point. This is going to be potentially pretty intense next week. The only positive thing is it is still a week away and things could change, but it's looking like we're going to be setting up another extremely unsettled spell. Not just unsettled, but extremely unsettled, potentially more amber or even red warnings for rain and wind issued from these sort of systems. I'd more lean towards the rainfall because of the amount of rain we've had recently. It wouldn't take too much in terms of intensity of rainfall to see those warnings escalated very quickly. So we're going to have to keep a very close eye on it and hope that the models are overdoing it a little bit and it does back off in the next few days. But at the moment, from what we see at this stage, it is not looking good for next week. So make sure you keep up to date with the warnings, especially over the weekend, as we still got some intense rainfall in places this weekend. But sort of the main event, the main course of the stormy weather could be coming as we head into early November, or at least the last couple of days of October. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.